Hey, Lord of the Smart Rings here. I used to be pretty critical of how slowly the RingConn team was developing the app, but things are finally getting interesting and definitely worth a closer look. Today, I'm diving into the new RingConn app version 3.13 and as always, we'll frame it into the context of the competition. But first, let's quickly remind ourselves what actually makes RingConn unique. Alright then, let's jump in. Let's jump in. RingConn is well-established smart ring available in three versions: Generation 1, Generation 2 and Generation 2R. At the moment, I'm primarily testing the Gen 2 model. Sleep apnea tracking. RingConn is the only smart ring with a dedicated feature designed specifically to assess the severity of sleep apnea. It does this by analyzing SpO2 levels, heart rate and breathing patterns to flag potential signs of sleep apnea. That alone makes it a genuinely useful tool for anyone who cares about healthy, high-quality sleep. But enough with the marketing fluff. How does the ring actually perform? I don't suffer from sleep apnea myself, confirmed in a sleep lab, and the ring consistently gives me an AHI, which means apnea-hypopnea index between 0 and 4. So, does that mean it's RingConn 1.4 RingConn? Not quite. As always, you'll find both happy and unhappy users. One person says RingConn clearly pick up the effects on their CPAP therapy, which is continuous positive airway pressure device, in long-term trends. Another user, however, complained that RingConn reported a severity level 35 times lower than what their sleep lab measured. It's worth noting that this negative post is about a year old and the app has noticeably improved since then, at least from my perspective. RingConn's team also responded, explaining that ring-based measurements have, of course, their own specifics: ring orientation, sizing, night length, and so on. If you got personal experience with this, feel free to share it in the comments. I eventually started tracking my sleep again, and while I'm not 30% certain, I think that older version required manually turning the measurement on and off every single night. Now you simply activate the assessment feature and it runs automatically for 3 nights and then you will get the results. Extreme battery life. The ring usually lasts 10 to 12 days on a single charge, and with the charging case you can stretch that up to 150 days. That's far more than what many competing wearables offer, and it also means you'll get a longer overall lifespan out of the device, since smart ring batteries typically start degrading noticeably after about 2 years. That's just a fact. Super slim and ultra lightweight design. The RingConn Gen2 and also the Air variant has one of the slimmest bodies among the smart rings. I covered the dimensions in more detail in my full review. No hidden fees. RingConn doesn't charge any monthly subscription for its advanced features. All metrics, from of course heart rate, SpO2, HRV, sleep metrics, etc., are included in the price. The company explicitly states no subscriptions. Compared to some competitors, that's a big advantage, or is practically unusable without a subscription, and Ultrahuman has placed few, let's say, premium features, their so-called power plugs, behind a paywall. There is also AI chatbot within the RingConn app. I talk about this more in another video. Abnormality and vital signs monitoring. I consider these features not only genuinely useful, but also really well executed visually, and in the case of vital signs, clearly inspired by Apple. They reliably capture deviations from your personal baseline. Thanks to this functionality, the Ring performed exceptionally well in my comparison article and video best smart ring illness or sickness or being sick. On the other hand, I have to admit that RingConn sometimes fails at automatically detecting certain activities, and in some cases, when your hands stay in the static position, so the accelerometer basically falls asleep, but you are still active, it may incorrectly flag the activity as an abnormality. Like in my cycling example, or another user's treadmill session on this example. Thanks to its built-in temperature sensor, a smart ring is generally a useful tool for tracking and predicting the menstrual cycle and ovulation. Recently, I've been seeing more and more positive feedback about posts about these specific features, something I can't test personally, of course. And finally, what's new in version 3.13? Update 3.13 mainly introduced a revamped health panel expanded with a whole range of new and sometimes surprisingly creative metrics. I previously praised Ultrahuman for their out-of-the-box thinking, see Ultrahuman Sprint 2025, but it looks like our friends in China didn't want to be outdone either. You will see what I mean. Okay, let's have a look at Health panel. So let's break down the Health tab step by step. At the center of it all is the lifestyle score ranging from 0 to 100. I'm generally pleasantly surprised by how solid the scientific foundation behind it is. It's not just a random mix of metrics, the whole concept is based on the American Academy of Sleep Medicine's professional statement, sleep is essential to health. This document puts a strong emphasis on sleep and specifically highlights that it's not just about how long you sleep, but also about sleep-wake regularity, sleep quality, and its restorative effect. Pre-sleep habits, respecting your circadian rhythm through morning light exposure, and placing sleep within a broader, let's say 24-hour lifestyle context. That includes factors like sedentary time, total physical activity, and how regularly you move through the day. These are exactly the areas RingConn translates into 7 key dimensions that make up the lifestyle score, and we'll go through each of one in detail. I do not consider the user interface as a very strong part of RingConn, so for explanation I choose my own visualization, but we will have also a look at the app. There are 2 main sections, sleep and activity. In sleep you can find this pre-sleep preparation based on your heart rate, HRV, and your light exposure before going to bed. Sleep rhythm, the core building block of healthy sleep, which is the regularity of your bedtime and wake-up time. From this, the app can visualize also the social jet lag, which is basically the difference between your sleep schedule on workdays versus the weekends, and circadian rhythm, which means identifying whether you are an early bird or night owl. There is also the sleep recovery process, evaluates total sleep time versus the share of restorative sleep, including the efficiency, sleep stages, etc. Wake up activation, metric that tries to infer your morning light exposure based on how much light reaches the sensors, which is very interesting from my perspective. Then we have the activity section with sedentary risk, evaluates step count, PAL meaning the physical activity level, active minutes and standing time, exercise intensity, duration of moderate to vigorous activities, exercise regularity, training consistency based on ACRW, which is acute chronic workload ratio, and number of days with this high level intensity activities. I generally appreciate that RingConn is following the positive trend in wearables, zooming out from raw data and daily data and trying to interpret it holistically. And what I like even more is that RingConn didn't just copy the competition. Is this even a Chinese company? And they could have taken inspiration from Aura, whose My Health tab is built around sleep, heart health and stress, or Whoop, which focuses heavily on physical load and fitness strain. Also Ultrahuman, which even incorporates blood tests among other things. Health alerts. The health alert section found under the Me tab has been redesigned and expanded. In addition to flagging unusual heart rate fluctuation, the app also highlights deviation in body temperature. The next two new features require, somewhat surprisingly, granting the app access to your phone's location data. It's up to you if you want to use this. First one is sun exposure and hydration. The Ring monitors your exposure to strong sunlight and looks at the combination of elevated heart rate and skin temperature. If it detects prolonged sun exposure together with signs of heat stress, it prompts you to hydrate or find some shade. It also uses local weather data, hence the need of the forward location access. And second is headache risk alerts. Here, RingConn attempts to predict potential headaches based on vital metrics, mainly HRV, and atmospheric pressure. Again, this requires location access. As far as I understand it, if the app identifies patterns associated with headache, you will receive a notification that you can confirm. So far, I haven't been lucky enough to actually get a headache myself. Maybe I should lend the RingConn to my wife. Some of the remaining new features are a bit hidden inside certain subviews of the app. VO₂ Max, the app can now finally estimate your aerobic fitness level, which means VO₂ Max. It does this based on your monitored activities. I went for a run yesterday and discovered that RingConn estimates my VO₂ Max at 49. That's actually a pretty solid estimate, very close to the value I got from proper lab test. Social Jetlag and Circadian insights. These metrics are hidden inside the previously mentioned sleep rhythm section within the health panel, and the Ring now calculates your social jet lag, the shift in your sleep schedule between work days and days off. Ultrahuman, by the way, offers something similar to a slightly more playful way, let's say, including also a time zone shift visualization, and with more detail showing also the differences in resting heart rate, stress rhythm, and morning alertness. RingConn also visualizes the state of your circadian rhythm, meaning how well your 24-hour internal clock aligns with your daily routine. Aura has done this for a quite long time, and Ultrahuman isn't falling behind either. Without conclusion, the RingConn 3.13 app update is finally the milestone we've been waiting for. It turns the RingConn into a more proactive health companion, especially when it comes to sleep habits, movement, light exposure, and overall daily rhythms. Does it sound a bit like longevity thing? Yes, and honestly, I'm fine with that. For me, this is generally the most significant app update in the product's entire history. RingConn has, at the very least, strengthened its position among smart rings, and it's definitely worth giving it a try. The app is simply more engaging now. If I had to think about who the Ring is best suited for, I would say it resonates most with the middle-aged and older users who don't need many updates or flashy app. They need a quiet data collector, something they can even share with family members, an app that can gently alert them when they've been inactive for too long, or even suggest that they may be showing signs of sleep apnea. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Cheers.